Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel EduUdr. Today I am back with another video in this Java series where I will show you how to declare and initialize the variables, what are the different data types available in Java which can be used in your programs, and let's get started now. The first thing I wanted you to know is what are the variables. Variables are nothing but the reserved memory locations to store the values. This means that when you create a variable, you reserve some space in memory which is allocated by operating system. Now the question is how the operating system know how much space need to be allocated for a specific variable. Now, here comes the concepts of data types. The data types specifies the operating system that this much space need to be allocated for this particular data type. There are mainly two types of data types. One is primitive data types and non-primitive data types. They are the main classification. Now let's see what are the primitive and non-primitive data types. The primitive data types, they are the data types which are predefined in Java and comes with the keywords. For example, int, byte, short, long, double. And if you go with the non-primitive data types, they are not predefined and also you can see their implementations written. For example, string class, array class, and many more. Now let's see when to use which data type. Number comes in different format. For example, the phone number which is a 10 digit long, or you can solve any mathematical problem which will give you the answers in decimal format. For this kind of need we have different number data types. For example, integer data type which can store only the whole numbers, and we have floating point data types which can store floating point numbers of any length. For example, a double, float. And we also have non-numeric, that is nothing but to store the characters or the sentences. Like char data type, which can store the characters like only one at a time. For example, A, B, like only one character at a time. And the Boolean data type, which stores only true or false. In non-primitive data types, we have strings, arrays, and user-defined classes. Now let's see what are the range of data types. To know the range of data types is really helpful. It reduces the wastage of memory. If you have a variable where you know that it can never exceed more than 3 digits and will always be in the range of 0 to 127 or minus 128 to 127, then the best suited data type is byte, which can store the numbers in the range of between minus 128 to 127. The similarly, we have many different data types. For there are specific ranges. For example, short, which is the size of 16 bits, which can store the numbers in the range between minus 32,768 to 32,767, and it can store the which is the size of 32-bit. I will explain you this bits in the later. Till now you just remember the ranges, different ranges available for the different data types. And int can store minus 2 power 30 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1, and long can, and so on. Long, float, and double can store different ranges. And here e means the exponential, and here are the double is the biggest one which can store a very large values, and char can hold only 16 bits sized, that is 0 to 65,535, and boolean its of size is only 1 bit. Either it can store true or false. That's it. Now let's move on to the variables. Variables nothing but the identifiers, and identifiers must have some rules to be followed. For example, any identifier should start with underscores or dollar or a character. If in your variable that's starting with any of this, there is no chance that the compiler gonna accept your variable name, and it can be followed by any numeric or alphabets. So Now let's see how to define a variable. A variable is defined like this: data type variable name. Now first let me tell you what is syntax. Syntax is nothing but a format which has to be followed while writing your program to get rid of from compilation error. Data type is nothing but the type of data, that is nothing but int, float, or double, whichever your program needs. And variable name, that is identifier, you can give any name you like, but it should follow the identifier rule. That and data type variable name, and the example is like this: int a, that is it's a is in name of the memory which has been allocated by the operating system, and this is called as the variable declaration. Now let's go to what is variable initialization. Hence you have declared the variable. Now let's see how you initialize it. Initialization is nothing but assigning the value. The syntax is follows like this: variable is equals to value. Value can be anything. If you are yeah, it depends upon the data type. If you are using int, you have to give a number data type. If you're using a char, you have to assign any character. If you are using a string, it should be in the length of a, it should be a sentence or any character. It will be considered as a string itself. The example is a is equals to 10. If you remember, while explaining the range of data types, I was telling about bits, which I told I will explain later. Now, this is the time. Now, let me explain you what is bit is. As we know, computer can only understand binary representation, that is ones and zeros. So, when you tell the operating system to allocate this much of space, what does actually do is just one thing. Let me explain you this way. If I declare a variable of type byte, it allocates 8 bits, and one bit can either store 1 or 0. The last possibly could be all of them can be 111, which is 127 in decimal, which is the last number can be stored in byte. For example, here we can see that I have declared byte as a, means when I tell the when I write a byte a, what this operating system actually does is it gives out memory like this, 8 empty boxes. And in here, when I initialize with the 5 is converted into its binary representation, and it is stored like this, that is the 0000 and followed by 101, which is nothing but the 5 representation in binary. Similarly, I have int range, which is a 32 bits, means there are, yeah, 32 boxes allocated. Here I have taken, it will be in the, not in this form, it will be in the series. Since I don't have that much long screen, I can show you this much. And here 8 is multiplied by 4, which is 32 bits. Now it's enough of this theory session. Let's get started with the practical session where you can see the real things happening. Here I have opened my Eclipse where I have created the package class. If you don't know how to create it, then please check out my previous video where I have told how to install the Eclipse ID, everything. Now I am declaring a byte a, which is nothing but a declaration. Now I am assigning the value as 12, and this is nothing but initialization. Let me comment it. Initialization, declaration, yeah, done. Now let me print this stuff, that is nothing but system that out the println. Here I use I will print the value of a is equals to, that is nothing but a string which is concatenated with the value a is equals to plus, which will concatenate the both the values. A means without of our commas, it will print the exact value which is stored over here, which is nothing but 127. There is no error since I have printed a is equals to 127 and byte has a range between minus 128 to 127. Now let me print something which is not in the range, like a is equals to 128. It will throw any compilation error. Let me run it. Yeah, here you are. In the console, you can see that cannot convert from int to byte, as once you exceed 127, it will directly say it as it is an int. And that's all for the day. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like the video, give a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe our channel EduUdr. Thank you so much.